Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Well, it's been a good 3 days here in the desert in Phoenix, Arizona. It could be made even better if the Reds can get a victory here today in the wrap-up of this 3-game series against the Arizona Diamondbacks right here on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi, everyone. Along with Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Jim Kelch, and welcome to Reds Baseball. Well, the Reds were a big winner here last night, 13-0 over the Diamondbacks, so this series is even at 1 game apiece. And Chris, with the great hitting that the Reds had last night, the great pitching they had, we thought, why not revisit it?
Well, you're right about that. I mean, there's so much to talk about. I'm not even sure where you want to start first, whether it's the hitting or whether it's the pitching. How about the offense? Because they came right off the mat in the very first inning with home runs galore. 5 of them overall last night. They made it a laugher by the second inning. And, of course, the Diamondbacks never were able to get back into it, not with the way that Anthony DeSclafani was throwing the ball. First ever career complete game shutout, a 4-hitter, struck out 9. So far, so good for the Red starters in this first 2 games of a 3-game set.
Complete game shutout victory for DeSclafani, the first by a Reds pitcher since July of last year. Now to the pitching matchup for this game. Right-hander Homer Bailey gets the start, and you know, when Homer's coming off Tommy John surgery, you've talked about it, a lot of people have talked about it. You're going to have your ups and downs when you're coming off.
Well, you sure are going to do that, but I can also tell you that Homer Bailey probably said to his players, hey guys, did you save any runs for me? I mean, after all, DeSclafani only needed 1 last night. I may need a little bit more than that. He's coming off a nightmare start, Homer is, against the Dodgers, where they tattooed him for, 9 hits and 7 runs or so in just a couple of innings. But in 5 starts this season, he's had 2 really good starts, and he's had 2 really bad starts. So we'll see what happens with Homer Bailey today. Be careful where you set the bar of expectation. After all, those guys that come back from Tommy John surgery in the first year, they're good, they're bad. Some days it feels great, some days it's a struggle. We'll see as it progresses here this afternoon with Homer Bailey.
His mountain opponent will be a former #1 pick, Archie Bradley, who really has not been pitching very well as of late.
No, really, the only and the best things the Diamondbacks can expect from Archie Bradley is probably 6 innings of 2 or 3 run baseball. I mean, that would be a very good outing for him. He did not pitch well against the Reds his last time out when he gave up 4 runs or so in 5 innings. So, but he's a guy that's got a good little curveball. If you keep the ball down, you keep him in the game. The one thing to keep in mind, though, the Diamondbacks have a very rested bullpen because they got good relief help last night.
All right, well, the Reds try to win this series, and if they can get it done, win the season series between these 2 teams. We'll take a break. When we come back, Jim Day talks about scoring early and often for the Cincinnati Reds.
to you by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Bank of America, life's better when you're connected. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good, it's Skyline time. Wrapping up a 3-game set, Chase Field here in the desert of Arizona. I'm Jim Day. The Reds really set the tone for last night's game in the first inning, and they did it via the long ball. In fact, the story of their offense last night was hitting home runs. In the first inning, it was Joey Votto to get it started. You don't see this often where he completely turns on a ball and pulls it out of the ballpark. It was a 2-run shot. Scott Schebler later in the first said, "I got you one better," even farther out to right field. It was two-run home runs in the first. And the Reds this season, as you look at their IGS bringing the energy, been pretty good in the first inning. 92 first inning runs, trailing only Washington and Boston in all of Major League Baseball. And keep in mind, today's starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks, Archie Bradley, has allowed 17 earned runs in the first inning of his 19 starts. So, is that a good omen? Find out together, because a Sunday win equals a series victory. Series on the line, rubber game of 3. Jim Couch, Chris Wells standing by with all the play-by-play action of Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
The finale of the Reds and the Diamondbacks. This is also, as I mentioned earlier, the final game of the season series between these two teams. The Reds won 2 out of 3 at Great American Ballpark in the second half of July, and they look to do the same thing here and move on to Anaheim, California. A 3-game series against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim beginning tomorrow night out there. Brian Price, his team, trying to win for the 56th time this year. Here's what he puts forth this afternoon in terms of a lineup. Hamilton, Cozart, and Votto, the top 3. Then it's Duvall, Phillips, and Schebler. Suarez, Cabrera, and Bailey. Cabrera making the start for the 3rd straight game in this series against the former #1 pick out of Muskogee, Oklahoma, Archie Bradley.
So he really is the Okie from Muskogee.
So Roger Miller said.
No doubt about that. In fact, he transferred from Muskogee High School to Broken Arrow High School for his junior and senior year and led them to the state championship his junior year. Very highly touted football and baseball player was Archie Bradley. In fact, he was committed to go to play quarterback at University of Oklahoma before the Diamondbacks called him in that 2011 draft.
But he struggled so far this year, Bradley has, and he just really doesn't have a pitch, kind of a put-away pitch. His average breaking ball, average fastball in the month of August has been nightmarish for him, having given up 21 earned runs in 23 innings. Maybe the Reds can continue his misery here this afternoon.
Well, he's ready to go. So is Billy Hamilton as he steps in to lead things off. This is the 129th game of the year for the Reds. Corners, as they always do against Billy, cheat in. First pitcher called strike by Carlos Torres, our home plate umpire this afternoon. Sam Holbrook, Jerry Davis, who's the crew chief, Rob Drake worked the bases. Billy's had a pretty good series in terms of getting on base. He has 3 hits. He also has a couple of walks. Very comfortable, 75 degrees here inside Chase Field, 95 degrees outside. Hamilton overall at 261 with 3 home runs, 17 runs batted in.
You know, you say the comfort level of the temperature here inside, and it is very comfortable, but even 95 with no humidity outside, it's a nice day out here in Phoenix. In fact, the natives of Phoenix, they're so happy that August came around compared to June and July when temperatures are routinely reaching, 112, 115 in the day in the sun.
Down the left field line, and the shortstop Owings goes out and gets it, and that's the way this one starts as Hamilton pops up for out number 1. How about a look at the Diamondbacks defensively? Brought to you by your Ford dealers. Ricky Weeks back out in left field for the 2nd time in this series. A.J. Pollock in center. Michael Bourne moves over to right. Lamb, Owings, Drury, and Goslin the infield. Bradley and the catcher is Castillo. There's Michael Bourne, who dropped that line drive right at him in left field in last night's game. As we see this Diamondbacks team today without Gene Segura, who was ill and left the game yesterday, not in there today. We also see them without their first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt.
That's the best pitch that Bradley has. You just saw that curveball. It's got a nice downward break on it. That's got to be paired up with a fastball that he can spot up a little bit.
Cozart back in the lineup yesterday after missing 8 days. Had a home run. Here he pops out to Phil Goslin in foul territory, the first baseman, so the first 2 retired. Archie Bradley, 24 years old. We mentioned he's from Muskogee, Oklahoma. It's about, I guess, Oklahoma City's right in the middle of the state. It's about 2 hours east of Oklahoma City. Early part of the year, he was up and down a couple of times, much like Robert Stevenson. He came up, made a couple of spot starts for the Reds, went back down to the minor leagues. Same can be said for Archie Bradley, although he came up then at the end of May and has stayed here the rest of the season. 4-8, 5.06 ERA. Faces Votto with 2 men out. Joey last night, 2 hits, 4 at bats, and he has now moved officially into the top 10 in the league in hitting. He comes in at 10th at 311 with 21 home runs, 76 runs batted in, including that 2-run first inning home run here last night. In on him, he fights it off to stay alive.
Well, that is a #1 spot if you're trying to get Joey Votto out. But the problem is that he can frustrate you with that kind of a swing. He just takes the inside part of the plate away by fouling that pitch off until the pitcher finally makes a mistake out over the dish.
Into the shift, Goslin to Bradley. So Votto, who homered against Bradley in the first inning back in July, bounces out here to end the first. 6th start since coming back from the disabled list and Tommy John surgery. And let's take a look at our Elk and Elk storyline and take a look at the game-by-game outings for this right-hander.
Well, good and bad is the way you can describe it. I mean, sometimes Homer, after his Tommy John, like all pitchers, sometimes you get out there and your ball's coming out of your hand perfectly. It seems like you can't miss your spots. Other times, it's a struggle to find the part of the strike zone where you'll be successful. That last outing against the Dodgers, probably the worst yet. So really all he can do is get better based on what he did last time out here today.
You'll get Phil Gosselin to lead it off, then Michael Bourne, then A.J. Pollock. Outfield straight away, infield straight up for Gosselin. Makes his first start of this series. He was able to get into the game last night, took over midway through the contest, replacing Paul Goldschmidt, had a hit. Also had a plate appearance in Friday's game, drew a walk, scored a run. Interesting note about Homer Bailey as he pitches here at Chase Field in Arizona. This is for him the 174th career start for the right-hander from LaGrange, but the first time ever that he has pitched here in Phoenix. He now has made a start in all of the National League ballparks. This one was the exception to the rule until today.
And he's never beaten the Diamondbacks.
No, that's right. 3 starts all at home. No record with a 2.81 ERA against Arizona.
Homer really has 4 pitches. He's got those a fastball, obviously. His off-speed pitches are slider and curveball, probably in that order. And the off-speed pitch he uses as a changeup is a split finger pitch. He developed that several years ago down in the minor leagues.
Thompson made good connection on the 3-2 and lines it in the center, and so the D-backs get the leadoff man on. Take a look at the full lineup for the Diamondbacks today. Presented by their manager Chip Hale. Gosselin, then Bourne, then A.J. Pollock. Ricky Weeks in the cleanup spot. Wellington Castillo back in there today. Jake Lamb over at third. Brandon Drury, Chris Owings, and the pitcher batting ninth, Archie Bradley. Here's Michael Bourne. .33 years old, Michael Bourne. He spent most of his career in the National League, save a stint with Cleveland a couple of years ago. Came up with Philadelphia. Hitting .260 with 3 home runs, 30 runs batted in. Reds were the beneficiary of that drop line drive hit at him yesterday in the 4th inning off the bat of Eugenio Suarez. Led to an unearned run, made it 10-0 Reds at the time. Jim Day talked about the game was out of hand early. 4 in the first, 5 in the second for the Reds against Zach Godley. They led 9-0 after 2 and went on to win it 13-0.
A lot of breaking balls really early on for Bailey compared to what you would expect him to be, but that fastball that he's shown today, really not one of the better days for him. Right now it's sitting around 91, maybe 92.
Also on the run there as Bourne fouls it away. One thing good to note about Homer Bailey is that even though he missed most of the second half of 2 years ago with the flexor mass injury, last year with the Tommy John, he has not come back and started walking a lot of batters. His walks per 9 basically this year, the same as they've been throughout his career. Now a full count to Bourne, so Bailey has gone full to each of the first two hitters. A.J. Pollock is on deck. Into right, hit for Bourne. Gosselin will stay put at second base as Schebler gets the ball back in. Base hit Gosselin, base hit Bourne is how the Diamondbacks first inning starts. Take a look at the Reds defensive setup, brought to you by your Ford dealers. Same look as we've seen most of the series. Duvall, Hamilton, Schebler outfield. Suarez, Cozart, Phillips, Votto on the infield. Bailey and Cabrera. Ramon Cabrera making his third consecutive start, with Tucker Barnhart still ailing with that sore right hand. Cabrera was look at the Reds lineup, he was the only regular that did not have a hit in last night's game. Reds had 6 players have a multi-hit game, led by Phillips and Schebler, who each had 3, but Cabrera, he went 0 for 5. There's Tucker. We saw that wrap on his right wrist / lower hand area yesterday, and it's there again today. Third straight hit by the Diamondbacks here in the first. Gosselin to third, Bourne to second. Pollock gets his first hit of the season after going 0 for 8 in the first 2 games of this series. And the Diamondbacks have them loaded with nobody out.
Well, they've made solid contact, and they've made solid contact on fastballs. I think that was a fastball right there. The radar gun here had it at 89 miles an hour, which is way below norm for Homer Bailey. So if he's going to be successful in this ball game, he's going to have to learn how to pitch, maybe without a plus fastball today, working the corners, changing speeds with his alternate stuff. This is where he's got to call on his skills as a pitcher.
Well, he had a bad first inning in that last outing against the Dodgers. That was an 18-9 game last Monday afternoon. He gave up 4 in the first. Now he has the bases loaded, nobody out. Double play ball to short, maybe. No, too much in the hole. They get the force out at second base on Pollock. Weeks gets a run batted in as Gosselin scores, and the Diamondbacks take a 1-0 lead.
The Homer will take that at this point early in the ball game, with the way his team has been able to score runs here. He'll go ahead and trade an out for a run in the first inning, especially when you've got bases loaded and nobody out. Now another ground ball might just get him out of the inning with no damage any further.
Wellington Castillo bats. He was in the lineup on Friday, out of the lineup yesterday, back in there today at the number 5 spot. 272 with a dozen home runs.
Tell you one thing about Bailey today, well, whether he's got his fastball or not, he's ready to pitch. He's getting the ball back from the catcher. He's on the mound. He's standing straight. He's got good body language. I mean, he's ready to come after you with whatever he's got on that particular day.
As you said, really big boost that the Reds could get through this inning with just the 1 run being scored against them, and kind of a downer if you're the Diamondbacks. Ground ball to the shortstop. A runner's going to score. Out at first. Throw to third. And safe the call over there. Coming around second base, Ricky Weeks. He was running on the pitch, and when Cozart fired over to first, he really didn't slow down much at all. Took a chance, got over to third base.
And it was a good throw by Votto, who doesn't have the greatest arm, but it was on the money. He didn't hesitate. He knew exactly what he needed to do with the baseball, and Weeks just outran the play.
Had Weeks not been running there, that could have been the 6-4-3 inning-ending double play. But he was, and he ends up over at third. He's there now with 2 out, 2 runs in. And here's the third baseman, Jake Lamb. Only a couple batters really in this Diamondbacks lineup that have had a good look throughout their careers at Homer Bailey. One is Ricky Weeks, and the other is Michael Bourne out in right field. Most of these other guys, including Lamb, have not faced him before.
They haven't made a movie about Jake Lamb yet.
Or about Michael Bourne. Lamb at 261 with 25 home runs. Boy, the second half of the season has been a real struggle for this guy. 195 since the break. Gets himself a hit and an RBI there as Weeks scores. And Diamondbacks have put up a 3 spot here in the bottom of the first.
Lamb went right down there to get a pitcher's pitch. He hit it hard, but it was a hard ground ball. Reds had him shifted way around to the right side, and he went right down there. That pitch is a quality pitch that he just uses this right side or this left side of the infield to pick up a base hit.
Funny how things happen. Jim Day talking about how well the Reds have done, 3rd best in the league in scoring in the first inning, and here it is the Diamondbacks who put up a crooked number here in the bottom of the first. Brandon Drury. There's a lot of outfield. We've seen him start a game at 3rd and now today at 2nd base. I mentioned that Gene Segura out of the lineup today. Paul Goldschmidt out of the lineup. Also, Yasmani Tomas, their regular right fielder, out of the lineup. So 3 regulars not playing, at least at games beginning on this Sunday afternoon.
So you run that kind of a lineup out there and you find yourself up by 3 at least in the first inning. Got to be awfully happy.
That one bounces away. That's a wild pitch, we would suspect, unless we get another look at it. And, that is a wild pitch.
That's a curveball. It looked like it just skidded right off the plate. Cabrera went down to block that. I think it just went right off his chest protector and straight up off the screen. So just about everything that could happen bad for Bailey this inning is going that way.
Diamondbacks have a chance now to add to this 3-0 lead. Runner in scoring position out there at second base is Lamb. And another hit. This one up the middle by Brandon Drury. Lamb racing to the plate. Throw. Tag. Got him. Carlos Torres has the out call. Nice throw from Billy Hamilton out in center field. Lamb turned the corner, charged toward the plate. Diamondbacks will take a look at it, but it looked like he got the tag on in time.
Oh, he dropped the
ball. We didn't see that earlier. He dropped the ball. Going to put the tag on. The arm, it looked like, the left arm of Jake Lamb knocked that ball free from Cabrera. The umpires are getting together, but you can clearly see right there that the ball got away.
Well, they're going to have for conference. This might be just a crew chief review based on what all the umpires saw and some indecisiveness out there. But we get the best view of it all. I don't think this is going to take too long. Homer Bailey's walking right back out to the mound right now in anticipation of continuing this inning.
I'm sure he could see, like Cabrera, that the ball had bounced away. So the wild pitch turns out to be fortuitous for the Diamondbacks. The Reds, who put up a 4 spot in the first inning yesterday, now have had that done to them here in the first inning today. This is a Diamondbacks challenge because the out call was made by the home plate umpire Carlos Torres. Here's the tag, and the ball comes free as the body of Lamb and the body of the catcher Cabrera combine or collide. You saw the out call made there by Carlos Torres.
Well, key words in the rule book about a tag play like that are words like securely, holding on to the ball firmly and long enough.
So the call is overturned. The out call was made. It's clearly overturned because of the drop ball. It's 4-0 Diamondbacks here in the bottom of the first. Drury, by the way, on that throw home did not go down to second base. And the shortstop, the 8th man to bat in the inning, is Chris Owings. And the Reds, who did not even get a pitcher up in the bullpen yesterday, now have someone throwing down there right now.
I'm wondering if they feel there may be something going on with Homer right here. I mean, he hasn't touched anywhere near the fastball that he has had already this year.
Looks like Josh Smith throwing in the Reds bullpen.
The one game that Homer pitched where he was just lights out was at Miami. Reds ended up winning that ball game 7-4. He pitched 6 innings of shutout baseball and struck out 11. And he averaged 95 miles an hour on the heater that day, and he touched 97.5. So you can see the ups and downs that you have coming back from surgery. I mean, it's been more than a year, yes, but still in all, it doesn't mean it's a finished product by any means.
All right, they're going to give Cabrera an E2, an error on that ball at the play at the plate. So take away the RBI from Drury. Lamb goes to third on the hit and then scores on the E2.
Well, that's an interesting call because it's not like he had the ball in his glove and he was waiting there at home. I mean, the runner and ball got there nearly at the same time.
You wonder about maybe that call is made the way it is because the home plate umpire made the out call.
Could be. Good point. He shouldn't have made the out call. Ball popped out of his glove.
Carlos Torres didn't see that. We didn't. I didn't see it initially. Did you? I didn't see it right away.
Well, we have a couple TV monitors in front of us, but we're still sitting in the second level pretty well back.
Out of play by the man at the plate, Chris Owings.
Yeah, this is the kind of the worst nightmare type of first inning for a starting pitcher. You come out of the bullpen thinking, all right, you know, our team goes down 1-2-3 with nothing going on, a couple of pop-ups and a ground ball. I'm going to go out there maybe 12 pitches or less and try to get out of this. Well, 8th pitch of the at bat coming, number 34 on the inning.
To Cozart. They get the force out at second base on Drury, and that puts an end to what for the Diamondbacks is a very good first, a 4 spot. join our good friend Mo Egger from 700 WLW for the Reds fan cam. That's Friday night down at the Holy Grail. Chance to answer Reds trivia and win great prizes. You could be part of Reds Live. Party starts at 6 p.m. on Friday at the Holy Grail. Look for Mo Egger from 700 WLW. Well, Homer Bailey, a tough first. 4 runs, 5 hits, an error behind him. All the hits were singles, no extra base hits, but Reds find themselves behind the 8 ball early in this game. Adam Duvall will lead it off against Archie Bradley, who had a 1-2-3 first inning. Duvall at 245. He hit his 29th home run of the year yesterday. 83 runs batted in. One of the 5 that the Reds hit. Duvall comes into the game 4th in the league in homers.
Well, the one thing the Reds showed the Diamondbacks last night is their ability to put runs on the board, and often. And not just by hitting ground balls through the holes either. I mean, they were knocking a ball out of here like it was a home run derby day.
Against the shift to the shortstop. And Owings throws out Adam Duvall. Talked about the numbers for Archie Bradley in the month of August. His last 5 starts, 0-2 with an 8.22 ERA. Opponents hitting .350 against him. So from a Red standpoint, you're optimistic that you'll be able to get to this guy. Phillips starts the day at 286 with 8 home runs. He's driven in 52. Big game for him yesterday, 3 out of 4. Phillips' numbers aren't Joey Votto like in the second half, but I tell you what, this guy's done a heck of a job since the break. 351 average and a 380 on base number for him. This is what he's done there. You can see the numbers against the Diamondbacks. Cracks this one hard into left center field, and that ball gets the Reds on the board. Brandon Phillips, his 9th of the year, and it's a 4-1 game.
He must have heard you talking about him not putting up Joey Votto type numbers. It says, hey, I can go long ball too. Really good swing on a 2-0 count. Pitch kind of down. Brandon Phillips likes it down there, and he just drops the bat head and watches it go.
So number 9 for Brandon Phillips means the Reds cut into the 4-0 deficit. Here's Scott Schebler. He had a big day yesterday. 2-run homer in the first. Followed that up with a 3-run homer in the second. A single later on. 3 for 5 with career best 5 runs batted in. Goes the other way. Hits this ball pretty well. And that's back-to-back home runs. First by Phillips, then by Schebler. Back-to-back shots by the Redlegs. And they've cut the deficit in half. It is now 4-2 as the Reds go back-to-back.
Well, you just can't pitch down the center of the plate. You saw the pitch, and we showed it to you graphically where the home run ball hit by Phillips was. Well, Schebler takes a pitch up and just goes the other way with it. He's extremely strong. That's not a good place to pitch anybody, and Schebler shows you why.
3rd home run of the series. 7th home run of the year for Schebler. And it is a 4-2 game. Here's Suarez. For the Reds, the 5th time this year they've gone back-to-back. Last did it in San Francisco, and Bruce and Duvall did it against the Giants on the 26th of July. And they do it here a month and 2 days later. Borderline strike call. Suarez thought he had drawn the walk. Now he'll get a look at a 3-2 pitch. Cabrera waiting on deck. The Reds are able to do, at least so far, what the Diamondbacks were not able to do yesterday against DeSclafani, and that is get on the board early or even at all. Suarez strikes out. He took a look back at Carlos Torres then as he walked away, thinking he had drawn a walk earlier in the AB.
Well, he chased the fastball inside. This one had a little bit of movement on it that Bradley throws, but you see that movement is just side to side. Stays on the same plane. He may get Suarez out right there, but that's definitely not a pitch that you're going to be successful with by throwing it in the strike zone. Very flat right now, and the Reds have shown Bradley that here in this inning.
Cabrera rips the first pitch he sees into center field. He's gone 0 for 9 so far in this series, and he is on with the third hit of the inning for the Reds. The tying run in the person of the pitcher Bailey now will come to the plate.
Boy, the Reds are seeing really in back-to-back days pitchers that are throwing almost the same repertoire, same speed, same movement. Zach Godley yesterday, 9 runs in 2 innings for him. Bradley comes out having really struggled here in the month of August, and his stuff is very similar to what we saw yesterday.
So Bailey bats with a runner on and 2 out.
Bradley does have a decent curveball, but we haven't seen him break it out too much.
Well, the worst case scenario here is that Bailey is retired and the Reds would have the top of the order up in the third. Back-to-back homers by Phillips and Schebler. It's a 4-2 game Arizona here in the top of number 2. Told you yesterday that the Diamondbacks, after winning here on Friday and a Padre loss, they'd moved out of last place in the West. Reverse happened yesterday. San Diego won. The Reds won here. And so the Diamondbacks now a half game behind San Diego again. Reds, meanwhile, just a half game behind the Brewers. Lost their 3rd straight game yesterday. They are trailing today at home 3-1 to the Pirates in the 9th inning. So if the Reds can come back and win today and the Pirates hang on in Milwaukee, the Reds could jump over that Milwaukee club into 4th place, or really out of last place. Cabrera on the run on this 3-2. That ball will be cut off by the second baseman. Drury throws on to first to retire Bailey to end the inning, but the Reds get on the board. Home run by Phillips, number 9, followed up by Scott Schebler's 3rd home run of the series and his 7th of the year. Take on the Cardinals at Great American Ballpark. You can watch that action for as low as $12 thanks to Kingsgate Transportation. The first 25,000 fans will receive an Eugenio Suarez bobblehead. If you're interested in tickets, 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets. Pitcher Archie Bradley will be the leadoff man against a new Reds pitcher. This is Josh Smith taking over for Homer Bailey. You said, Chris, during that first inning, you thought his velocity was down and maybe something was going on with Homer. Well, he's out of the game.
Yeah, maybe they knew something going back as far as him warming up in the bullpen. And he just didn't feel right, but he said, hey, I'm going to go out there anyway. And you know, it didn't work out for him in the first inning. The interesting thing is, why did Bailey bat for himself as the tying run in the first inning with 2 outs?
Throws out the jogging Archie Bradley for out number 1.
I mean, if your arm hurts, and if that's the reason he's not in the game, why would you let him bat? I mean, there is a history of pitchers injuring themselves swinging the bat. Well,
the possibility does exist that Barnhart maybe can't grip a bat yet, so he's really 1 player short there. Would leave him with only 4 bench players. He uses 1 here, that leaves him with only 3.
Very true. Very true.
We don't know. We're just speculating. We do know this: Bailey is out after 1 inning, so he follows up his last start of 2 1/3, 6 runs, 9 hits against the Dodgers, with 1 inning, 4 runs, 5 hits here against the Diamondbacks. Josh Smith takes over. Josh into the game for the 25th time this year, a 5.26 ERA, former starter. I don't see him giving the innings to Brian Price and the Reds, though today, like Vicente Campos is able to give the Diamondbacks yesterday when he went 5 2/3 out of the pen.
Now, I'm sure Brian wouldn't have batted Homer Bailey unless he thought he had to protect his bench for later in the game.
Right.
And you're right about Josh Smith having to slip into the role of long man. Certainly not mop-up role right here, but if he gives a few innings of good pitching out there, he can snag a win. Comes out here with a 4-2 lead. Bailey obviously not eligible for the win in this ball game, but a lot of times in situations like this, who gets the win, if the Reds never lose the lead, that is up to the official scorer. He has a certain amount of discretion.
Hamilton retires Gosselin on that fly ball to center. This roll, the long roll, has been filled lately by Kivas Sampson. Sampson earlier this week sent down to Louisville. So when you look at the Reds pen in terms of who they might have to go long, really Smith is the main guy, the only guy. It's 2 quick outs, now deals with Michael Bourne, and he should get a 3rd out here on only 9 pitches in the inning, as that ball is caught in left field by Adam Duvall. So a quick bottom of the 2nd turned in by Josh Smith. #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Lockout and other restrictions do apply. Simply visit MLB.tv for all the details. 2 innings complete here at Chase Field in Phoenix. 4-2 Diamondbacks. Hamilton leads it off against Archie Bradley. Hard, but right at the second baseman, Drury, who will throw Hamilton out. Out #1. Billy goes through stretches, certainly has to get on base first, where he'll steal a ton of bases. Now we've seen going into today, he's had 6 consecutive games without stealing a base. He's 0 for 2 in this game and now 3 for 13 in the series. Here's Zach Cozart. Fouled out to the first baseman Goslin his first time. Mentioned Archie Bradley, 4 wins, 8 losses on the year. He has only won 1 time since the 19th of June. So he's over 2 months with just 1 win. That was on the road at Milwaukee on the 27th of July. He threw very well in that game, allowed 1 run in 7 innings. It's the only win he has since June the 19th.
Well, that game that you mentioned on July 27 was really the last good game he's pitched.
Yeah.
I mean, everything else has either been mediocre or awful. But still a young guy. I mean, he only turned 23 here on August the 10th. So he has not been around very long. He's still learning how to pitch at the major league level. And the Diamondbacks are using this year to do that for him.
Cozart broke his bat. The business end of that thing went back to the screening. Luckily bounced off the screening back onto the field. Cozart thrown out by Owings. 2 out.
Well, you just watch Joey Votto as he tracks the ball in and out of the pitcher's hand. I mean, he's seeing it big. I mean, he's just waiting for something over the zone to just throw that bat head. On the first pitch, a breaking ball down, just watch his concentration.
Check swing, and Bradley going to be the beneficiary of that. Votto out, he's 0 for 2, and the Reds go down in order in the 3rd. football season on Thursday night against Tennessee Martin. Don't miss the Inside Bearcats football preview show tomorrow night at 6:30 for an early peek at this year's squad and insight from head coach Tommy Tuberville. Preview show will debut Monday at 6:30 right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Open up against Tennessee Martin at Nippert Stadium. Football standpoint, the Bengals play later tonight. That third preseason game of the exhibition season. I guess that's what they call the dress rehearsal game. That'll be tonight. Here, Reds trying to come back from a 4-2 deficit. Josh Smith, his second inning of work.
You know, Josh Smith is really an interesting pitcher because he's a guy that, you know, kind of came into the draft, a very low round draft pick, not very high expectations. Normally when you're drafted low, you're one of these guys they call organization pitchers, just to kind of fill out minor league rosters, to surround your prospects with other guys so that you have people that can play the game. But every once in a while, a guy rises to the top, figuring out what he can do best, and he sticks with that plan. And Josh Smith doesn't try to fool anybody into thinking he's an overpowering pitcher, but he's got a nice slider, he's got good control, keeps the ball down for the most part, may never be a top of the line rotation pitcher, may not even be a big league starting pitcher, but there's a spot in the big leagues for pitchers like Smith as long as he figures out how to get hitters out and can be called on short notice to give the team some innings.
Well, he's a Florida native. He pitched collegiately at Lipscomb University in Nashville.
And he went there because there were no other teams that wanted him at all. I think they saw him at a showcase. You know, he was hoping to go to Miami or Florida or Florida State, South Florida, one of those schools, and nobody offered him except Lipscomb. They've got a good program there in Tennessee, and here he is in the major leagues.
Pollock is on the run. Strike called, and no chance to get the runner out at second base, and a stolen base. Pollock's the guy you figure is going to do a lot of running.
Yeah, everything that Pollock does right now is first for the year. First time on base, first base hit, first stolen base on the season. I mean, he's an all-star caliber player, Pollock is. When they lost him, in addition to losing a number of pitchers who were on the DL, it has been a lost season for the Diamondbacks, but looking forward, you put him in the lineup and it changes things a whole lot.
Well, he was indeed an all-star and a Gold Glove winner last year. Stole 39 bases last season. They're just getting him back this past Friday. This is his third game of the season. Talked earlier about his broken elbow. Last game of the exhibition season in early April. Missed all of this year until Friday night. He's out at second base with nobody out. Ricky Weeks is up at the plate. Ricky's probably saying, hey, I want Homer to stay out there. I mean, he came into this game 14 for 28 against Homer Bailey in his career. Weeks picked up a run batted in his first time on the ground ball to the shortstop, and then had a nice hustling play going first to third on a ground ball to the shortstop, hit later on by Castillo. on and off the rubber a couple of times now by Josh Smith. Cued toward first base. That's Dave McKay, the first base coach down there. Boy, this guy's been a big league first base coach a long time at a lot of places. Long time in St. Louis, while in Chicago, now out here. Full count now to Weeks. Smith had a relatively quick second inning. 1, 2, 3 in the order. 9 pitches. Was able to retire the D-backs. But
well, one thing we noticed yesterday about the D-backs is that they will swing the bat. If you throw the ball over the plate, they're up there hacking. Not a team that is very patient at the plate. They want to work yet.
Suarez looks the runner back and throws out the hustling Ricky Weeks. Pollock stays put. Weeks is the first out of the inning.
It's one of the reasons why Ricky Weeks and Michael Bourne are two guys on this team that really play a large part in how you play the game professionally, that the young players who are in this Diamondbacks organization on this roster right now look up to. I mean, that was a routine ground ball to third base, and he's busting it down the first baseline like it might be his last ever at bat. Hustle doesn't cost a thing.
Here's Wellington Castillo. Weeks at first base in the first inning. Weeks was running. Castillo grounded out to the shortstop, and Weeks rounded second. Cozart threw on to first. Weeks just kept right on moving. Ended up over at third. Look, a big cut there by Castillo. Goes down to a knee, and he's down 2 strikes. Guy had some pretty good years 3-4 years ago with the Cubs. 19 home runs last year total, 13 the year before that with Chicago. Last year part of 3 different teams, the Cubs, the Mariners, and then found a home out here in Arizona, in effect replacing Miguel Montero. Still only 29. Runner going to third. No throw. Pollock steals second, now steals third.
Changes the at bat now for Castillo entirely with a man in third base. Really smart play by A.J. Pollock, who is probably just trying to get into the flow of things here. Just his third game being played after missing the entire season. Got such a big break. Cabrera didn't even want to throw it.
Infield comes in. 2-ball, 2-strike count. Runner at third and 1 out. Now a full count to Castillo.
All right, so you go 2-2 and you throw him a breaking ball in the dirt. It's way off the plate. And that is by far Josh Smith's best pitch, is either the curveball or the slider. Castillo thinking all I need is a fly ball right here, so we'll see which way the Reds want to go. That's a slider. No. Smith wants a fastball in. Maybe try to get a ground ball.
Instead he gets the fly ball that will get the run home. Billy Hamilton has to retreat and make the catch. Here comes Pollock, so his stolen base at third pays dividends for the Diamondbacks. They now lead again by 3 at 5-2. Sac fly by Castillo.
Yeah, in my book, that stolen base by Pollock is a team stolen base. I mean, that's a real good team play because it puts you in a situation where you're going to get yourself a run with just an easy, lazy fly ball to center field.
Josh Smith's had to work hard here in this inning. He's given up a run. He's gotten 2 men out. Now we'll try to retire Jake Lamb and keep it a 1-run inning. Split on Smith in terms of righties lefties. Righties hitting .233 against him. Left-handers .297. Game in Milwaukee, by the way, has gone final. Pittsburgh wins 3-1 over the Brewers. Hit hard by Lamb, and that is a foul ball. Close down the right field line, but foul.
It's a good spot for that curveball. We get a little sneak peek into the glove of Josh Smith when he loads up that curveball. He has a spiked grip, which means his index finger will kind of be bent up a little bit. He drops out slow breaking ball right there, but if you throw that inside enough to a left-hander, there's no way he's going to keep it fair. Although that probably gave him a start or two as he saw that ball heading to the line.
Jammed him this time. Schebler will get to the spot and make the catch. And so the inning comes to an end. The D-backs get 1 and lead by 3. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together. Yes, indeed, we are in the desert out here in Phoenix. Let's spend about 6 weeks or so out here in the spring in the Cactus League. Of course, they have the facility out here in Goodyear that's open year-round. Teams playing out there. Injured players go out there and rehab. Red's been out here in Arizona in spring training since 2010, so 7 years already. The Goodyear complex. Duvall leads things off here in the fourth. Archie Bradley, 2 runs, 3 hits allowed, no walks and a strikeout. 101 strikeouts, 105 innings coming into this game for Bradley. High walk total though, 54, a 4.5 per game.
There goes the old saying about if you're wild outside the zone like Bradley is, you're also wild inside the zone. And when he threw 2 pitches right down the middle last time through the lineup to Phillips and Schebler, he was shown why it can be even more dangerous to be wild down the pipe than it can be outside off the plate.
So the Reds go 6 games without a home run, hit 5 of them last night, 2 more today. And they are just below the middle of the pack in terms of home runs hit this season in the National League. It's the home runs given up that have hurt them tremendously. They're on pace. You see, they've given up 1 in this series by Ricky Weeks. That's a good start to the 4th inning by the Reds. Duvall gets the base hit. Leadoff man is on. Just a reminder, as you enjoy the game this afternoon, we'll bring you a little bit later on a Miller Time Moment brought to you by Miller Lite. Brandon Phillips had a home run his first time, his 9th of the year. Reds trying to avoid the dubious distinction of giving up the most home runs in a season ever. Record is 241, given up by the Detroit Tigers back in 1996. The Reds right now have given up 206. So after today, 33 games remain. Trying to avoid catching the Tigers in that department. Most the Reds have ever given up in a season, 236. They did that in 2004. Phillips his first time launched one to left center field, his 9th of the season, getting the Reds on the board. Brandon 1 home run shy of another double-digit home run year. Would be his 10th of his career if he can get there. Hit a dozen last year, hit 8 in 2014. His best, of course, was that 30 home run season back in 2007. Let's see now, 195 in his career. All but 18 of those, all but 6 of those with the Reds. Double play ball. 1, 2. Brandon Phillips hits into his 15th double play of the year. That's the most on this Reds team. Turned by the D-backs 6-4-3. Owings to Drury to Goslin. 2 out, nobody on. And the batter will be Scott Schebler. That's a fair ball, and Goslin will feed Bradley. 1 pitch. Schebler is retired. So for the 3rd time in the game, Reds have had 3 batters and out.
Anybody can run down the balls in small ballparks, but when you get to those big ballparks, is when you really test your ability out there. And like I said, coming west, and pretty much every field out west is always big, and it's just amazing just to be out here and see if you can run down the same balls that you run down in smaller parks. See if you can run them down in here, because pretty much they're gonna be way deeper and stuff like that. So it's always fun to play on the West Coast.
Oh, Billy says the plays at Great American Ballpark, smaller outfield, are routine. He loves to show what he can do in a big outfield like Chase Field, but haven't seen much of it here in this series. But he indeed loves to come west because there's a lot of ground to cover out here.
Well, he loves to do it. We love to watch him do it because he's a tremendous defender. Very entertaining to watch him run those balls down. Drury leads things off here in the bottom of the 4th. In fact, it's the bottom part of the D-backs order. Drury, then Owings, and Bradley. Diamondbacks up by 3 at 5-2. Winner of this game will take the series 2-1. And then these teams won't meet again until next February or early March in Cactus League play. Low throw by Suarez, but a good scoop by Joey Votto to retire the leadoff man Brandon Drury.
Yeah, reaching out for it right there. Suarez has got a strong arm, but it's not always accurate, and there's always a guy at first base that, if he's a good scooper, can save a lot of errors along the way, and Votto is in that category.
Yeah, I would agree with you. We've talked some about his defense or lack thereof at times, but he is one of the best pickers at getting those balls out of the dirt that we've seen.
It doesn't come by accident either. If you get out here early enough and watch him, you know, he used to have a drill where Freddie Benavides and one of the other coaches would stand at third base and hit him hard one-hop ground balls, and he would try to field every one of those with 1 foot on the bag. It's a drill that I think he picked up from watching Albert Pujols years ago when Pujols was playing first base for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Phillips to his right, jump, throws, safe at first base. You've seen him make that play before with an accurate throw. This one a little bit high. Couldn't get Owens.
A couple of different ways to make this play. Brandon Phillips takes this ball off the mound and then leaps and throws in one motion. The other way to do that is to stay on the ground, and when you come back on the ground, you know, plant your feet and throw with some authority. He could have done either one, and that ball just a little bit high. Too much hang time for Votto, huh?
Yeah, that goes down as a hit for Owens. He came down on the bag, but just after Owens had flashed across there. Keep an eye on Owens. Now he's 14 for 14 in stolen bases this year. Wild cut and a strike on Bradley. I mean, this guy, talking about Owens, 14 for 14. His percentage of stolen bases in his big league career is phenomenal. Out of the glove of Cabrera, the runner stays put. Owens is 40 of 45 in his career in stolen bases. Perfect this year, 16 out of 20 last year, 8 of 9 2 years ago.
Well, we haven't noticed really in this series because he hasn't been on base until now. 0 for 3 the first night. I think he was.
He had a stolen base on Friday. He and Goldschmidt each had a steal. So they'd stolen 4 bases in the series.
Oh, we got hit by a pitch.
Right, right. Archie Bradley studies Matt Williams down there at third base. I think I'm correct in saying that Matt Williams replaced Chip Hale as the third base coach of the Diamondbacks. Hale was here through 2009. Williams took over at third. Williams left, went to DC, becomes the manager. Now he comes back here and works for Hale, who's the skipper here. Strike 3 on the 2-2 pitch. Bradley wanted to bunt, pulled back, and Carlos Torres rings him up. Top of the order now, and Phil Gosselin. He has a hit and he's flied out. Talking about these Diamondbacks, a train right here in the Phoenix area also. Salt River Fields up north of the city. So these Diamondbacks fans get a chance to watch their team all spring and then come here and watch them during the regular season. So there's no, I guess that may be a drawback, no anticipation of your team coming home and getting to see them. What a jump. I mean, Smith did not hold Owens on at all. He got a running start and steals second base as another ball pops out of the glove of Cabrera.
I'm not sure what it is. It's hard for us to see, but there must be something that Josh Smith does to alert the base runner that he's not coming to first base, because we've seen some huge leads here in this ball game.
Hamilton makes the catch of that line drive. Gosselin retired. We are through 4 here in Phoenix. For as low as $32, you get a ticket to the game, a Reds trucker hat, and the opportunity to enjoy the concert from the field. Purchase today at Reds.com/Chase Rice. That is coming up in the month of September at Great American Ballpark. Here we go to the 5th. Reds have been out hit 7-4, outscored 5-2. Archie Bradley, mentioned earlier, just one win since the 19th of June. Goes to work on the bottom part of the Reds order. Suarez leads it off. Eugenio today struck out. He's reached base 12 straight games. Votto comes into today's game having reached in 21 straight. Suarez 12-game on base streak. Now he's ahead 3-0. Cabrera next, then the pitcher spot. There's movement down there in the Reds bullpen, but nobody at this point is actually throwing. Josh Smith has gone 3 innings. 1 run, 2 hits.
Looks like they're still at the Pilates stage.
Josh Smith has a helmet on in the dugout. There's a strikeout of Suarez, so he's fanned twice in this game.
Looks like they're figuring something out with Suarez here. Both times he has struck out. Bradley's come inside with a fastball that evidently looks really good to Suarez, but darts off the plate at the last second. So Bradley's a guy that last year, if you remember, in the month of April, he was facing the Colorado Rockies. Late April, he was on the mound against them early in the ball game. And he was facing Carlos Gonzalez, and he threw a slow curveball, 82-mile-an-hour curveball, of which Gonzalez contacted in the center of his bat and ripped it back through the middle and struck Bradley in the side of the face, knocked him down. He was motionless on the mound. The whole ballpark here at Chase Field went completely silent. And eventually, after he was attended to by trainers, doctor came out. He rolled him over and he walked off the field with thumbs up. So he did go to the hospital. No concussion syndrome or anything like that, but has come around to completely heal after that. That was a scary moment. He tweeted a picture out when he was in the hospital of what he looked like after you take a ball to the side of your face.
Looks like he has a double, triple cheek of bubble gum in there, doesn't it?
You talk about lucky. And you know, he kind of shrugged it off. He's got a reputation for being kind of a happy-go-lucky guy. You know, not really caring which way the river flows. And he actually was around, I believe, at the end of the ball game when his team ended up winning that game against the Rockies to congratulate everybody on the team win.
How about that? Gosselin will take this himself to retire the batter Cabrera. Now Josh Smith will bat for himself. Ross Ohlendorf is throwing in the Reds bullpen. Could be one of those same situations that we saw with Homer Bailey. And that the pitcher bats and the new pitcher comes on. Smith has a hit this year. He's 1 for 5. Actually has 3 career hits. Played down there by Lamb. And a 1-2-3 5th inning, and a pretty good effort turned in so far today by Archie Bradley.
Lives on here at Chase Field here in Phoenix. I'm Jim Day. Jimmy and Chris were talking a little bit about it last night, about how the baseball icon passed away in March and they are wearing Joe on their jerseys. Well, it goes much more than that, than just remembering just a terrific life, not only in baseball but in broadcasting. And I want to take you up into the broadcast area. Look at this shrine that they have to Joe Garagiola, just showing pictures through the years, mainly of him broadcasting. And this was not done after he passed away in March. This has been on the wall here at Chase Field for a long, long time up in the broadcast center. And he played a major part in getting this franchise here in Arizona, was a member of the franchise, broadcasted for them in the early days. And I was watching, because we showed it recently, the 1976 World Series, and I watched those games in which Joe Garagiola was on there with Tony Kubek. And I know it's hard for younger fans to put it in perspective of what it was, life was back then with just 3 channels, and you didn't have a game on every night. You had the game of the week, and it was so big to see that game of the week on Saturdays with Joe Garagiola and Tony Kubek. He was truly a giant in the industry.
Yeah, Jim, and I remember, like you, when he used to do the game of the week, and he used to have that big baseball and spin it around, and is the baseball world of Joe Garagiola. You remember that, I bet.
I do indeed remember that. And he was on the Today Show, and just one of those voices of my childhood that you hear, and it just brought back so many memories. Particularly watching that 1976 World Series, it brought a lot of joy to me.
He was a game show host for a while too. I remember he hosted one of that. I remember is the Memory Game he used to host. You know, in his latter years, he was working very, very hard on trying to get major league players and players in general to stop chewing tobacco.
Yeah, and it was a really great effort by Joe Garagiola. I think a lot of the changes that have been made throughout baseball in getting rid of smokeless tobacco on the baseball field at the amateur level and in the minor league level have a lot to do with his efforts to do that. I remember one time in particular that he had a very heated conversation behind the batting cage with Tony Gwynn. And he looked at Tony Gwynn and says, "When are you going to stop doing that stuff?" And Tony said, "Well, I'm trying." He goes, "Well, trying's not good enough. You got to give it up." And of course, it wasn't, you know, maybe a decade later that Tony Gwynn died of cancer, really directly related to using smokeless tobacco. What a great guy. I mean, funny in his own way and funny on TV. Not great catcher in his 9 years as a major league player. But boy, the contributions that he made to baseball once he got off the field as a broadcaster, as a TV host, as a public speaker, what a wonderful man.
Yeah, we talked about last night that Joe's grandson, Chris, is a intern in the media relations department of the Reds. He's got a special interest in broadcasting. Of course, Joe was inducted into the broadcasters wing of the Baseball Hall of Fame back in 1991 as the Ford C. Frick Award winner. Schebler will play this ball. And Pollock retired and out number 1. Pass along a couple of special wishes today to some very special people. First of all, a birthday, Patty Langdon. Patty Langdon celebrating her 85th birthday today. Big Reds fan. So happy birthday to Patty. Also special birthday wish today to Vera Metz, watching and cheering on the Reds for, how about this, 100 years. Celebrates her 100th birthday today. Happy birthday to Vera. And an anniversary wish goes out to Charlie and Ethel Hoffman. Yesterday, Charlie and Ethel celebrated anniversary number 60. And they're big Reds fans, so that we were able to make it a little bit better with a Reds 13-0 win. So happy birthday to Vera. Happy birthday to Patty. Happy anniversary to Charlie and Ethel Hoffman. It's a late strike 3 call there by Carlos Torres, sends Ricky Weeks back to the dugout.
Giving up a leadoff single and then being able to retire the next two. Little frame action by Ramon Cabrera at the very end of this. Watch how he kind of brings his back in. I'm not so sure he needed that. Carlos Torres behind the plate calls a high breaking ball for a looking strike 3.
That's Wellington Castillo. Smith trying to get through his 4th inning. Runner takes off, throw is high and late. Now, I got to believe you're right that they're seeing something because they're getting tremendous jumps.
Yeah, you're right. And I think a lot of the credit, if you talk to the Diamondback people about stolen bases, they've been very successful. In the month of August, their success rate before this game was 83% as a team. Overall, at 80%, they're the highest in Major League Baseball. And a lot of the credit here goes to the first base coach, Dave McKay. McKay's a guy down there who studies a lot of video. Of course, it's the first base coach who's responsible for knowing what kind of move the opposing pitchers, the entire staff has. Of course, McKay most famous really for being Mark McGwire's personal batting practice pitcher in home run contests, in batting practice, especially in St. Louis, when Big Back was there knocking him about 500 feet. He's a baseball lifer.
Castillo in the game has grounded out, produced a run. Deep fly ball to center field, produced a run in the 3rd on a sacrifice fly. Sitting at 52 runs batted in on the season.
Well, if you're wondering where the Reds rank in that stolen base efficiency department, Arizona at 80%, they're tops in the National League. The Brewers are second at 77.4. The Reds come in 3rd at 75%. Mainly, of course, behind Billy Hamilton and his tremendous stolen base ability. 53 bags, 7 thrown out.
And the Brewers are number 1 in total steals, right?
Believe so.
And then the Reds are 2.
Hamilton this year 88.3 success,
which is way up from where he was his first couple of years.
Well, first couple of years, I mean, when he first started playing, I mean, he was down around 70-71%. Last year he was still very good, up around 88.
That's going to get a run home on a line drive in the left by Castillo. So once again the stolen base pays off for Arizona. Paid off in the 3rd. They produced a run, and it pays off here in the 5th. And now they have their original 4-run lead back.
You know, shutting down the running game is something that every pitcher really needs to concentrate on a little bit, unless you've gotten to the point where Johnny Cueto did. And Cueto was never good until he really began to work on it. And other teams just never stole on him. So that's part of his game that a lot of people don't even think about. They say, well, Cueto's just dominant. Why would you ever talk about Cueto and Josh Smith in the same sentence? Well, you know, that's one area where Smith could really improve. He could have saved himself a couple of runs here in this outing by keeping those runners at first base.
Ross Ohlendorf, who was up earlier, is up again and throwing in the Reds bullpen. In case you weren't with us earlier, Homer Bailey makes the start today, his 6th. It's touched up for 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, and 1 inning's worth of work. Left the game after 1. And whether he left simply because he didn't feel like he had his stuff today, whether there's an injury involved. No report out of the Reds clubhouse as to why he left after 1.
You know, I think if he had acute pain in his arm that was really killing him, I mean, we would have seen a trip to the mound and the trainers would have been out there. But it could have just been kind of the dull ache that he has complained about a little bit, you know, that he just doesn't feel like the ball's coming out of his hand the way it should. Except for that couple of games, especially the one game against the Marlins down there where he was you know, averaging 95 and hitting 97.
Today being the 28th of August, his next start would come up in the month of September after rosters can expand. And, you know, you have to wonder, would they maybe skip him a time in the rotation? Reds have a day off coming up on Thursday when they get home from Anaheim after the completion of this road trip. Phillips on the in-between hop will throw out Lamb and put an end to the bottom of the fifth. D-backs once again up by 4. It's 6-2.
Will head even further west. They'll face the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and they'll see a familiar face there. How many years did we watch Albert Pujols in a Cardinals uniform just doing damage to the Reds? It's our greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. This season, .259 average, does have 25 home runs and 101 RBIs. 13th season with 100 or more runs driven in. That's tied for second most all time. 585 career home runs. That's top 10 all time. And those numbers against the Reds: .345 average, 46 home runs, 145 runs driven in. What a career.
Pretty good numbers. Boy, he was in his heyday when he was with the Cardinals and playing against the Reds, and those numbers certainly indicate that. And Jim, you mentioned 585 career home runs now for Albert Pujols. He just surpassed Mark McGwire for 10th all time. Seems to be a cinch to become the 9th player in history to reach 600 home runs. Frank Robinson is next on his list at 586. And then you get to the 600 group, Sammy Sosa. A good example, though, of Albert Pujols. We talked about the career that he has had and the fact that he was with the Cardinals when they won the 11 World Series, and his contract was up. He was 31 years old. Cardinals made a bid to keep him, but they kept it within their parameters, and in the end he signed a long-term deal with the Angels, 10 years, $240 million, of which this year marks the midway point of that. Base hit by Hamilton starts the 6th inning.
We spent so much time talking about stolen bases here on the part of the Diamondbacks. It'll be now the chance for the Reds to perhaps put their running game and their running shoes on.
Mentioned earlier in the series that Hamilton has 18 stolen bases in 20 attempts this month. His career best stolen bases in a month is 19. That was last June of 15. 1 to tie that, 2 to break that. He's going. He is in there.
And that was about as good a throw as you're going to see Castillo be able to get off. He got rid of it like lickety split. And it was all really stolen on Archie Bradley. Bradley now has given up 12 stolen bases. Diamondbacks catchers have only thrown out 3. So like Dave McKay, the first base coach of the Diamondbacks, Freddie Benavides, studying the video on Bradley and moves to the Reds' advantage.
It ends a streak of 6 consecutive games in which Billy had not stolen a base. Diamondbacks taking a look at this. Chip Hale out of the dugout. And they want to challenge this.
It looked like the throw beat him, but I'm not sure he got the tag down. I mean, the throw is about as good a throw as you can get.
Jerry Davis is the crew chief and the second base umpire. He made the call. Sam Holbrook comes in with him, and the 2 veteran umpires will listen to what they have to say in New York. We'll take another look.
Oh. Did he come off the base is the only thing I can think of, because it looked like he easily beat the tag with his left hand in there. This one shouldn't take too long unless there was a complication coming off the bat.
Yeah, because you just can't believe that their video person thinks that the tag was there before he hit the bag. So it must be he thought that maybe he came off the bag. Left hand still on. Right knee gets onto the bag. Did not look like he came off the base. Another look at it.
This is our best look. Safe.
Just from the couple of shots that we saw, there does not appear that there would be video evidence to support an overrule there.
I'm not getting into the second guessing or the predicting of what they see in New York. Here we go. Ooh.
Wow.
He must have come off the bag. Thrown out on a technicality.
That's good work by the video folks for Arizona. So instead of being stolen base number 54, it is a 2-4 caught stealing. He clearly beat the throw. Somewhere in there he must have come off the base.
Bottom line, really good throw by the catcher Castillo. Kind of a momentum changer here when you get your first man on in the 6th inning. You're down by 4. You need to get a little action going. You got the top of the order going on, and that kind of takes a little bit of the wind out of your sails.
You know, that's the kind of call that Brian Price has talked about all season, and that he thinks something should be done about that kind of play.
Well, he's not the only one. I mean, the technicality play.
Correct.
Yeah. This is maybe where he came off the bag and the tag is still on. Now, I don't know. That's one frame of video, and actually it looks more like modern art than it does something we review safe or out. I wouldn't mind having that hanging in my living room, or my wife might maybe put it in my man cave, but still, I like the colors.
You're an eclectic guy. Yeah, you like all that kind of thing.
Little impressionist action there.
Via Billy Hamilton. So Votto bats with 2 out, nobody on. Reds down 4. Caught stealing by Billy is only the 8th time this year he has been caught. Thing is, Billy was off the base. He had gone into the dugout, so maybe he already knew what they were trying to prove, that he had come off the bag. Well, Archie Bradley has had only 1 inning in this game. That was the 2nd in which he has not faced the minimum number of batters in an inning. He faced 6 then, gave up the back-to-back home runs. Retired the Reds in order in the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th. The benefit of the double play in the 4th. And right here, if he gets Votto, the benefit of a caught stealing. Now from 0-2 to 3-2. Adam Duvall waits on deck. Jim Day talking earlier about the Reds playing in Anaheim beginning tomorrow night. The Reds haven't played out there since 2002. A long stretch between visits to Anaheim. In the air to center and Pollock. And thanks to the caught stealing, the Reds have 3 batters and out, and they do that for the 5th time in 6 innings in this game. Off with a bang with Fireworks Fridays at Great American Ballpark coming up Friday, September the 2nd. Cheer on your Reds as they take on the St. Louis Cardinals. You can do that for only $12. Plus, don't miss a spectacular post-game fireworks show presented by Delta Airlines. For tickets, 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Bottom of the 6th inning here at the ballpark. Diamondbacks by 4 at 6-2. They jumped out early, led 4-0 after 1 inning. Reds cut it in half to make it 4-2, but single runs in the 3rd and 5th. They get once again a 4-run Arizona lead, and a new pitcher on is Ross Ohlendorf, who replaces Josh Smith, who got the Reds bullpen over the hump and into the second half of this game with his 4 innings of relief work. Four innings, 2 runs, 4 hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts for Josh Smith. Ohlendorf gets Drury to lead off here in the bottom of the 6th. And a base hit.
You know, we've not seen much of Brandon Drury, really. I've never really seen him play live until this series, having missed a series where the Diamondbacks came into Cincinnati, but he's been an impressive player. Made some nice plays at third base. He's playing second base today. Young kid. I think he's only about 23, 24 years old.
Drafted by the Atlanta Braves back in 2010. He was part of the deal that brought them also Randall Delgado, we've seen, Nick Ahmed, who's now on the disabled list. They got him for Chris Johnson and Justin Upton. Action now in the Arizona bullpen is Jake Barrett, a right-hander. Yasmani Tomas swinging a bat in the on deck circle to hit for Bradley. Owings in this game 1 out of 2. Hit that ball hard up the middle. Phillips got to it, jumped, tried to throw him out. Throw was high. Owings was aboard. Well, let's see, after today, 3 games remain in the month of August for the Reds. Right now, 13 wins, 11 losses this month. That's what they ended up record-wise in July. Another hit for the Diamondbacks just by Owings, his second, and so Ohlendorf comes in, and Diamondbacks have a little action going. Two on with nobody out. Now Yasmani Tomas will bat for Bradley, and so the D-back starter goes 6. Clearly the best start he has had in the month of August. So here's Tomas. Started in right field each of the first 2 games of this series, hitting .263 on the season with 26 home runs. He's 0 for 3 as a pinch hitter.
Whew. That's having a hack. Yeah, a lot has been written about Tomas. He's 25 years old. The Diamondbacks gave him a boatload of money. And they may have rushed him to the major leagues. He was up last year. He ended up hitting .273. 9 home runs. His home run production will way up this year to 26, but his batting average has dropped off. But he's a product really of the thinking where if we pay you enough money, you should play to that level. And it doesn't always work like that in baseball or any sport, especially when it comes to young players. I think it's way too early to give up on him.
So quality start from a numbers wise turned in by Bradley. 2 runs, 5 hits, 6 innings. First quality start since the 27th of July. His 8th of the year. And this is 20th start. President of baseball operations Tony La Russa of the Diamondbacks, former longtime Cardinal manager. Before that, Oakland, and I guess before that he started his big league managerial career with the White Sox years ago.
Well, they brought him in to run the baseball operations department, and then he quickly hired Dave Stewart, one of his players, very fine major league pitcher and a former player agent, to be the general manager here. That is one of the assistant, I don't know if his title is assistant general manager or not, but former front office operative of the Reds, Deshaun Watson. I think Watson was a scout with the Reds. There's Dave Stew. Well, he always had that glare, didn't he, when he was pitching, whether it was for the Rangers or the Athletics or any other ball club he played. He had that stare down. He would stare down the hitter.
One word to describe it: intimidating. Didn't intimidate Eric Davis in the World Series.
No, he did not. I'll tell you, though, having played with Dave Stewart and with Texas in 1985, what a good teammate. Solid guy.
Tomas launches one left center field. Hamilton on the run, and that is a pinch hit 3-run homer by Yasmani Tomas. '27th home run of the year for Tomas. Now a 9-2 game Arizona.
Well, you could tell with the way he swung and missed at the first pitch. Fouled it straight back. That time Ollendorf feeds him another pitch pretty much right down Broadway, and Tomas times it right.
First pinch hit of the year for Tomas. Turns out to be the best kind of all. A pinch hit home run. 7th pinch hit home run the Reds have given up this season. And all but one of them have come on the road. The home run power that this guy has produced, a little over a month, 14 home runs, tops in the big leagues for Tomas. Cozart will cut this ball off. Low throw, and this time Votto cannot dig it out. Gosselin's aboard for the second time. Well, Ollendorf continues to have a rough second half of the season. Just over 4 ERA in the first half, but pushing 5.5 in the second half. So base hit by Drury, base hit by Owings, 3-run pinch hit homer by Tomas, infield single by Gosselin. Ohlendorf has yet to retire a batter. Action all over the place against him out there for the Diamondbacks. Duvall retreating, but he'll get to this ball. That's the first out here in the bottom of the 6th. Gosselin retreats. Bourne on the afternoon 2 out of 4. Here comes A.J. Pollock. We talk about the Reds and wins in the month. They went 13-11 in July. 13-11 right now, counting this game, 4 to go in the month, so still a real opportunity to finish above the 500 mark for the 2nd consecutive month. If they were able to do that, it'll mark the first time that has occurred for the Reds since 2013. Ended that season July, August, and September of 2013. Each of those months over 500. They have not been able to put back-to-back plus 500 months together since. As good as things went yesterday for the Reds from a pitching standpoint, and even really going back to Friday, and the excellent start by Brandon Finnegan, it has gone the exact opposite here today. 1 inning by Bailey, 4 decent innings by Josh Smith, who allowed 2 runs. Those 2 guys there pitched very well. Friday night Finnegan, yesterday DeSclafani. Suarez to Phillips, out on to Votto, wide throw. Brandon couldn't get anything on that. So Pollock runs with 2 out. Ricky Weeks is 0 for 3. Diamondbacks enjoy the day off tomorrow. Then they head to San Francisco as part of a 8-game road trip. Take on those Giants for 2, then to Colorado for 3, then to the Dodgers for 3. Dodgers begin the day 2 games ahead of San Francisco in the West. Down on strikes goes Ricky Weeks for the 2nd straight time. But a 3-run pinch hit homer by Tomas is added to the D-backs advantage. Look at our Honda game summary for this Sunday afternoon. Big first inning for the Diamondbacks. They get 4. Base hit there off the bat of Lamb. They get RBI singles. They get an RBI ground out that produced a run by Weeks. RBI ground out by Castillo. Lamb produced a hit, 4-0. Now Phillips at the top of the second gets his 10th of the year. This one by Schebler, back-to-back Reds home runs. Schebler's 3rd of the series, been at 4-2. And now Yasmani Tomas in the bottom of the 6th inning. A pinch hit, 3-run shot. Makes it a 9-2 game in favor of Arizona through 6. That's our Honda game summary. New pitcher, meanwhile, on for Arizona is Jake Barrett. Takes over for Archie Bradley. See him for the first time in this series. A couple of other changes for Arizona. Yasmani Tomas, who hit the pinch hit home run, stays in the game in right. Michael Bourne moves from right to left, replacing Weeks. Weeks out of the game. Pitcher in the 4 spot. And he gets Adam Duvall to start the 7th.
Barrett is a rookie making his first way through the major leagues. He has been in 56 games already. There's Tomas and right. 57 counting today. Not having a bad go of it. He's been credited with 4 saves. Young man that was born in Upland, California, but did his college work right here in Tempe, Arizona. Just a suburb of Phoenix at Arizona State.
You know, most guys that come up through the minor leagues, they were at one point or another a starter, end up transitioning to the bullpen, but not this guy. In his entire career has been as a relief pitcher. And now Brandon Phillips. Closing in is Barrett on 250 professional appearances, minor league, major league. 248 counting today, all as a reliever. Cracks this ball to right. Tomas backpedaling makes the play. So very quickly, 2 men out here in the top of the 7th. Tony Cingrani is throwing in the Reds bullpen. Well, nobody sees sports quite the way Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock see sports. The brains to know, the guts to say is how they describe it. Catch Colin and Jason, FS1's new daily sports talk show, Speak for Yourself, weeknights at 6 Eastern Time. Schebler with 2 men out. First pitch swinging into the shift. Owings throws him out. That's a quick and easy inning for Jake Barrett. 5 pitches in the top of the 7th.
Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, make sure you're ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game here on Fox Sports Ohio. That's with Reds Live pregame, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Reds move on from Arizona and head on to Anaheim after the game and start a series there tomorrow against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. You see the Red starters, Straley, Adelman, and Finnegan, against Matt Shoemaker, Jared Weaver, and Ricky Nolasco, acquired during the season by the Angels. For tomorrow's game, no television on Fox Sports Ohio, but back at it on Tuesday and Wednesday night. Tuesday night's game 10:05 Eastern Time. Wednesday's game 7:05 Eastern Time. But again, no local television tomorrow for the Reds. The pitcher on for the Reds is Tony Cingrani. Double switch made with Tyler Holt taking over out in left field. And for the Diamondbacks, it'll be Wellington Castillo to get things going in the bottom of the seventh. There's Holt out in left field. Duvall is out of the game.
Well, it's been a while since Cingrani has been in the ball game. He last pitched on August the 23rd. That was against the Texas Rangers when the Reds won that game 3-0. Came in and picked up the save in that game. That was his 16th save of the year.
Ollendorf, 1 inning, 3 runs, 4 hits. Cingrani here in the 7th. Also for the Reds, Jose Peraza has come in. He's now at shortstop. So Cozart leaves. Duvall leaves. Cingrani is in the 4 spot, previously occupied batting order wise by Duvall. Holt is in the 9 spot. And a 5-pitch walk given to Castillo by Cingrani to start the bottom of the 7th. Here's Jake Lamb. 1 hit today, 2 at bats, plus a couple of runs batted in.
Now, the one area where the Reds pitching staff, especially the relievers, have really kind of shown up as a sore thumb is obviously in giving up home runs, but also in giving up bases on balls. One thing that Mac Jenkins, as you see him right there talking to Billy Hatcher, has resolved to try to correct. Coming into this ball game, Reds relievers had given up 238, tops in the league, or most in the league anyway. The Diamondbacks at second with 214. The Braves third. So if you look at those teams who have the most walks out of their bullpen, and then you start looking at those teams where they rank in the standings, you see there's a direct correlation. What do they call that? Inverse proportion or inverse correlation?
I hope you're telling me, not asking.
Where your tops in one category, like number of walks, and your lowest in another.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But you must have gone to the ball game on that day of the lesson, right?
Yeah. I had my transistor radio in. It must have been during the World Series or something.
Life of a reliever. You sit around most of the time, but when you're out there, most of the time when your team especially is in the lead, the pressure's on, and that's where Cingrani does most of his pitching, is when his team's in the lead and he's in the 9th inning. Not so today. This is a tune-up day.
Got himself a couple of strikeouts now after a first batter walk to Castillo. Lamb and Drury disposed of. Batter will be Chris Owings. Owings a pair of hits today. Diamondbacks have pounded out 13 hits. I said 13, I meant 14. That one into the corner is the 3rd hit of this game for Chris Owings. Matt Williams will hold the runner at third base. Castillo 2nd and 3rd with 2 men out.
Boy, Owings, who was so quiet the first couple of games of this series, now has 3 hits, and he sprayed them all over the ballpark. One to center, one to left, and this one to right field goes for a double. Now, when you're Tony Cingrani out there in a situation like this, you do care about your personal statistics, and you really want to keep those guys out there and keep them from scoring. Oh, Cabrera's had a couple of those the last few nights. Direct hit.
I said earlier he's making his 3rd straight start, and he is in this series, but actually you go back, he actually started the game on Wednesday against Texas, so he is making his 4th straight start, Ramon Cabrera. Tomas, who had that pinch hit home run, 3-run shot in the 6th. Batting here in the 7th. Tight game here on Friday night. Yesterday a 13-0 blowout Reds win. Today a one-sided game in favor of the home team. Diamondbacks up 9-2.
You know, in a way, this has got to be somewhat of a very special weekend for Ramon Cabrera. Playing behind the plate, playing every day in this series. This was the ballpark in which his dad played his 1 season of Major League Baseball. Played back in 2000 for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I can't say full season. He only played in 31 games, but he was eventually went to Japan, where he was a prodigious home run hitter. Of course, we told the story about Ramon and his father playing in the same winter ball game down in Venezuela, where his father hit a home run, and always told Ramon, when I hit a home run in the same game in which I'm playing, they played on different teams, I'm retiring. And he did. He came around third base, tagged home, took his jersey off, flipped it to Ramon, waved to the crowd, and that was it.
Did he actually stop playing, though, or did he come back and play later on?
No, he did not play after that.
That was it. Swing and a miss. Tomas strikes out, and so 3 strikeouts in the inning for Cingrani sends us to the 8th. Eighth inning baseball here from Chase Field. All D-backs 9-2. They've out hit the Reds 14-5, and starter turned reliever, at least temporarily now. New pitcher on. Patrick Corbin takes over for the D-backs. Corbin made 24 starts this year, but a terrible record of 4-12, an ERA of well north of 5.58. They've put him in the bullpen since that start. 4 relief appearances. That really hasn't gone overly well either. And he comes in here to work the 8th. Corbin last worked on the 24th. That was Wednesday. Allowed no runs in 2 innings worth of work against Atlanta. That was the 11th inning game. Here's a check swing, and Suarez is out. Slams that bat to the ground. He's had a rough afternoon. Strikeout, strikeout, strikeout for Suarez today.
Well, he struck out the first couple of times on inside fastball. That time he could not hold back. Didn't like that bat anyway, with a lot of holes in it.
Now Rafi Lopez, we talked about yesterday, was just called up from Louisville with Tucker Barnhart ailing right hand. Rafi Lopez makes his Reds debut, not his big league debut. He appeared a couple of years ago with the Cubs. He's been down at Louisville this year. Actually, he was with the Tigers during spring training down in Lakeland, Florida. Released by them, signed by the Reds organization in early May. And he actually came out to Denver, I think, was when Cabrera had a little injury issue. They didn't know if he was going to be all right, so they brought Lopez out there. Turned out Cabrera was okay, so Lopez was never activated. Back down to Louisville, hit .213 down there this year, 47 games. And
I'm glad he's getting a shot here to play a little bit. Young man that grew up down in South Florida, went to Florida State University where the Cubs drafted him 16th round, 2011. I was disappointed, though, that his walk-up music wasn't Willoughby Wallaby Woo.
You jumped all over that when he got called up. Rafi used to be I guess you'd call him kind of a children's folk singer. That'd be an apt description. You still have CDs of that, don't you?
No, they were cassette tapes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pop those in your 8-track player as you're driving down the road. Now Jose Peraza in the 9 spot. Bats for the first time. He took over at shortstop. Peraza at 303 in 119 at bats for the Reds this year. They really did a nice job filling in most of the time when Cozart was out. In fact, he had 4 straight multi-hit games at one point. Reds, you have the DH in use out in Anaheim. You wonder if Peraza may see some time there. Corbin gets him on a ground ball here, so the Reds go in order in the 8th.
Into the golf zone tonight. PGA Pro Jimmy Hanlon gives terrific tips, plus recaps the week in golf. Get inside the golf zone with Jimmy Hanlon, presented by American Eagle Mortgage and Varmint Guard, tonight at 8 on Fox Sports Ohio. As promised earlier, our Miller Time moment for today, and a special congratulations going out. That is Assistant Media Relations Director for the Reds, Jamie Ramsey. He recently learned that his wife, Melissa, is expecting for the first time. But listen to this, gentlemen. They are expecting twins. Congratulations, Jamie and Melissa. Ain't love grand?
You know, he's kept that kind of low key. There hasn't been a real announcement about that, but I would suspect that if somebody's going to break that story, it would be Jim. Thank you, Jim. Jamie Ramsey, a papa to be ×2.
That's great news for Jamie. We've
Sure
known
is.
Jamie for such a long time. He's been such an important part of that media relations office under Rob Butcher. He and Larry Herms, steadfast every day. But boy, oh boy, nothing makes you more steadfast than having children of your own.
New pitcher on is Jumbo Diaz. Gosselin leads it off. First pitch swinging and a fly ball to right that's handled out there by Schebler. So one pitch, one out. Michael Bourne will be the batter. And that gives us something to get on Jamie about as we board the flight today to Anaheim.
You mean fatherly advice? Or advice about being a father?
Yeah, something like that. Too early really for that. Probably, although we don't know, because he's kept that very low key, played it very close to the vest.
That's great news. And you know, again, it's Jim Day that breaks the story.
We see the Reds are off to Anaheim. We mentioned after the game. It's been since 2002 since the Reds have played there. Do you remember much about that ballpark, Anaheim Stadium?
A beautiful ballpark. I mean, really a gorgeous ballpark. Of course, set right down the street from Disney World, or Disneyland, I mean, the original Disneyland. They've done a nice job there. As I remember, the ball kind of flies there pretty well, too.
They've had some pretty good success over the course of the years with Mike Scioscia as their manager. Not so this year. They entered today's game at 55-74. They did win today at Detroit 5-0. I think he's the senior most manager in the big leagues, Mike Scioscia. Jim was talking earlier about Albert Pujols. Of course, they have Mike Trout out there, maybe the most talented player in the big leagues. Off the glove of Phillips, and Bourne is aboard. And that'll be a base hit for Bourne, so he's 3 for 5 today.
Ball hit very sharply. Brandon had no chance to get in front of that ball. He just kind of put his glove down and hope it would go in there. Backhand attempt went off the back of the glove.
A.J. Pollock, who had hitless in his first 2 days of this series, is coming off a long stint on the DL. Now is 3 for 5 today. Back-to-back hits against Jumbo here in the 8th. Patrick Corbin will step stay in the game and bat for himself here in the bottom of the 8th. Barring a huge 9th inning comeback, it looks like the Reds and the Diamondbacks will split the season series, each winning 2 of 3 at home. And this game today actually ends the games by the Reds against the National League's West Division this year. 33 games they play against the 5 teams in the West. They'll end up 16 wins, 17 losses.
Oh.
Corbin's got himself a hit just over the outstretched glove of Suarez. Diamondbacks will add another run and they get to double digits here today. They now lead at 10-2 on a hit by Patrick Corbin.
This ball jammed a little bit right in on his hands, but he's able to fight it off to get that ball in the left field and pick up a ribeye.
Corbin not a bad hitter at all. He came into this game with a .304 batting average this year.
It's a good swing.
Jumbo, like Ross Ollendorf, having a tough time finding outs. Look ahead to the Reds' 9th inning. Near the top of the order, Hamilton and then Holt, then Votto against Patrick Corbin. Worked a 1-2-3-8. You got to get through this bottom of the 8th inning first. Castillo shoots one into the corner. Another run will score. It is now 11-2 in favor of the Diamondbacks. Jumbo Diaz has come on and given up 4 straight hits.
Coming right in there with a fastball and getting unjammed.
Jumbo entered the day with a 3.81 ERA. In the ideal situation, he comes in, mows them down, 3 batters into the dugout, but it has not worked that way. Jake Lamb 1 for 4 with a run batted in here this afternoon. They're going to have to throw And they get him at first base as Rafi Lopez fired it down to first base. Make sure you catch all the action coming up on Saturday. That's September the 3rd at Great American Ballpark. Reds will take on the Cardinals. You can watch for as low as $12 thanks to Kingsgate Transportation. The first 25,000 fans will, yes, receive that A. Eugenio Suarez bobblehead. For tickets, 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets. Brandon Drury, 2 out of 4. Rafi Lopez, 28 years old. Chris mentioned played collegiately at Florida State. Gets his first Reds big league at bat here this afternoon, replacing Ramon Cabrera behind the plate. Two and two now on Drury. Jumbo trying to limit the 8th inning damage to 2. In the air, Votto under it. Fair ground. Joey makes the play. Drury gone, and so are the D-backs. So Hamilton will lead it off in the 9th. Reds down 11-2. To you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to save big store-wide. Great food, low prices at Kroger. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Well, not the best of afternoons here in Phoenix for the Reds on this 28th day of August. Down 11-2, out hit 18-5. Reds have had 3 batters and out in 7 of the 8 innings in which they have come to the plate in this game.
Kind of like last night's outing with DeSclafani. He had a lot of easy at-bats, a lot of easy innings. This is the 4th time today that Billy Hamilton will lead off. You don't see that happen very often.
Billy today has a hit. He's 1 for 3. Then we thought he had stolen a base. That was overturned in the 6th inning when the Diamondbacks challenged. He'd clearly beaten the throw, was on the bag, and then the tag was kept on by Drury, and Billy apparently, albeit slightly, had come off the base, and he was out. High throw, but out at first base on that toss by Lamb. Hamilton 1 for 4 on the day. Goslin did keep his foot on the bag. Red's looking at it. Now Tyler Holt will bat. Holt took over in left field for Adam Duvall. That was when Cingrani came into the game. Tyler hitting .215 with 8 runs batted in. Tim Adelman talking it over with the other Red starters. We'll see Adelman on Tuesday night.
That's a study in sociology right there, isn't it? That's all the starting staff, the exception of Homer Bailey, who started today. They all kind of hang out together, you know, and all have the same kind of beard. It's like, you know, you study a football team. All the wide receivers hang out together. Linemen hang out together. Like their own little social club down there in the end of the dugout.
Strain will pitch tomorrow. 10-game winner. Adelman on Tuesday. Finnegan on Wednesday. Reds have the day off on Thursday. And then you would suspect on Friday it'll be DeSclafani, who threw the complete game shutout here last night. Lined at Lamb by Holt. 2 out. Mentioned earlier that Joey Votto had a streak of 21 straight games in which he had reached base. Going into today, that is on the line right here. He's 0 for 3. Suarez had reached base 12 in a row. He's 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, so that one appears as if it's going to end. See if Votto can keep his going right here.
You know, there aren't very many times when the last at bat or potential last at bat of a ball game in a game that is separated by 9 runs is a compelling at bat. But when Votto steps to the plate, it's always compelling. I mean, never gives away even one at bat, does Joey Votto.
You mentioned it earlier this series, or even at home in the Texas series, how he is now choking up, not just with 2 strikes anymore, but all the time.
That's an adjustment he made from the first half to the second half of the season. Maybe even after a couple of months. Maybe he just feels like he's got way more back control that way.
Something he has Billy Hamilton doing now.
Well, I'm not so sure that he has Billy doing it. I mean, Billy observed and he's listened to the interaction between Votto and the hitting coach Don Long. And he thinks, well, if it's good enough for Votto, it's good enough for me. Neither Long nor Votto suggested that he choke up. I don't think there are a lot of kids out there playing youth baseball that would be better choking up. He might be the hardest 27th out in baseball.
Crowd of 22,000 plus here this afternoon. Those who hung around on their feet, cheering for a D-backs win. Close, but a foul ball. 22,624 on this Sunday afternoon here in Phoenix. DeJesus, by the way, is on deck. Should Votto reach, he would bat for Diaz. And that's strike 3 call. Votto rung up by Carlos Torres. And the Diamondbacks win the game by the final score of 11-2. They take 2 out of 3 in the series. And these two teams split 6 games on the season series, 3 games apiece. So half the road trip over. 3 more to go for the Reds. Votto didn't like the call, discussed it all the way back toward the dugout. Let's see. Looked a wee bit low, according to Fox Tracks as well. But called a 3rd strike. The final score again, 11-2 in favor of the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll come back with more after this.